What's up, everybody? Welcome to the View from Jamestown podcast edition. This is episode 42. This is the July 2020 episode, and we're sitting down virtually this morning with TCC President Rob Roach, VP of Sales and Marketing AJ Petrarca, and Cory Mullins, and Latin American Operations Manager Javier Fernandez. Good morning, virtually, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning, everybody.
I think at one point we were optimistic we may do this one in person, but as everyone can see that's watching the video, we are still digital here.
Still a lot of concern around coronavirus.
Got some nice facial hair going on around the group here too, I see.
Yeah.
There's a trend, the quarantine thing.
The work from home trend.
The only difference is like what you guys have on your faces. That's probably 2 days worth of growth. This is at least 2 or 3 weeks. This is terrible, man. It's terrible.
Got to transfer some from your back.
We're back.
I've got that braided right now.
At least you cut the mullet. Now it's on your face. It looks better on your face than in the back of your head, you know.
Well, we had that one little window to get out and do something. I'm like, I got to get a freaking haircut. You got to do something. Ugh. But yeah,
I still haven't been able to get a haircut. My wife Angela is doing the haircut. She's doing it. She's getting better every time. The first time was no. I won't show you today. But on the August podcast, I'll show you. I'll get a fresh cut on the August podcast.
It's like the first time, it's like her eyes were closed, and now she opens them, right? And she can see what she's doing.
It's better. That's better. But I'm wearing a hat. Not because of that. I'm wearing a hat, but here I am.
All right. Well, so as everyone can see, we are still remote, still looking at the coronavirus concerns. Hopefully not talk about too much on this episode, but definitely a concern and a big talking point as we're looking at what's ahead for July and August and the rest of Q3 here in summertime. Definitely a big spike the last week or two around the U.S. I think the Northeast, where most of us are up here, hasn't been too high, but areas like Texas, down where Cory is, and other parts of the states have obviously seen a big increase. We were hoping July and August would start to pick up, and I think it's safe to say business has picked up a little bit here for July. Maybe not to the degree that we were hoping, but definitely still the main talking point. It seems like with plants coming back to full speed, with demand picking back up and things like that. Hoping stuff kind of turns around and continues to pick back up, and coronavirus cases decrease here over the next couple months.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing some bright spots, Ben, coming here into July. We've already sold as much in July as we did the whole month of May. So we're only the 10th of July today. And we got 3 full weeks left in July. May obviously was our bottom, and June was up 10-15% over May. And so I think that we're definitely seeing demand increase, and we're seeing some bright spots. Coatings, people are at home, they're painting inside their houses. Painters are obviously outside their houses. It's a good time to hire a painter and keep people working right now, and that's certainly happening. So coatings is a bright spot. Automotive is starting to pick up a little bit. The plastic side for us has been good for things like PPE, and vinyl has become a very important product in terms of the fight against COVID. Things seem to be getting better, but we're certainly not where we want to be.
And obviously, Cory, you're joining us this morning remotely from Texas, which has been a big hot spot here in the last couple of weeks. What's the overall kind of attitude, both just day to day, actually being physically in Texas, as well as some of your contacts and customers you're talking on the business side down there?
Yeah, it's Rob and I were talking about this, I think, last week. It's like what we saw happening up in the Northeast, New York and Connecticut and Mass, and all, it's all seemed like it's made its way down, and we're now going through what you guys were going through, a month and a half ago or so. But it's frustrating, right? Everybody's ready to get back to work. I talked to my accounts. They are producing, not to the levels they'd like, but they're running on skeleton crews. So that's only the essential people within the plant that would be working. Everyone else is like us, working from home. But they're just ready for it to work its way through the South, and let's get back to business. And I'd have a better time predicting the weather right now than what's going on with with COVID and that. It's aggravating. You can hear it in their voices. Everybody's just ready for this to get to get done.
So your kids go back to school in another month, right? They start in August, don't they?
Yeah, good point. It's August 1st, and what's currently going on, at least with our school district in Collin County, is they've kind of set it up front that they'll give the kids a choice. You can go back to school or you can do online. Your pick. And then there's a chance that if they go back to school, it would be certain students go on, Monday, Wednesday, certain kids Tuesday, Thursday, and then maybe everybody does offline or online, on the Friday. But then there's been talk here this week. My wife said she'd heard that they're now trying to push to get everybody back just because the at-home learning just wasn't as effective as they. Well, I mean, wasn't effective, but I mean, they were trying to fly by the seat of their pants here. But I don't know. You're right. It's 3 weeks away, 4 weeks away. Yeah, I'm concerned about what they're going to do.
Yeah, I can concur that with my kids at home, the online learning was not effective, and it was a lot of stress on the family, because. We're lucky enough that we've got a couple of our kids that are close in age and they can entertain each other. A buddy of mine said he's got an only child. I said, well, at least you only got one. He goes, yeah, but that made it worse. There was nothing. It was me or my wife to entertain her, and there was nobody else around. So, even if you got one kid or four kids, this is it's like adding a whole nother, multiple jobs onto your, what's already stressful. We already got dishes piling up because we're cooking at home all the time. We already got a messy house because everybody's in it all the time. And now we got kids that have to be online, and my experience was the kids were only online for 20 minutes, an hour a day, and then they were expected to go do it on their own. What are the chances of a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old, doing 6 hours of work on their own? It's like that was the onus was on us as parents. So, it is important to get kids back to school, but it's also dangerous times, and if the threat is as it's maxed out at this point in Florida and in Texas, and you're going to get some community antibodies, and it'll slow a little bit, but at least we've learned a lot about the virus. We know that it's. You don't want to go to a concert or a sing along, or something like that. There's certain things you definitely want to avoid to stay healthy. But in our company, we hadn't had anybody with coronavirus. Now we've got people that have unfortunately contracted coronavirus, and that's scary. It's come into our TCC family. So, so we're another thing is that, I don't want to beleaguer the coronavirus thing, but we're now installing UVC lights at the office and ion disruptors, and all this stuff on our HVAC system. So we've got a forced hot air, forced cool air system. We're now putting in systems that'll kill the virus, so it doesn't, somebody doesn't come in here, have the virus, and have a super spread event. So, these are the things. There's a lot of expense associated with protecting our employees. Imagine these bigger companies. So I think the bigger thing that out of this coronavirus is it's a horrible situation. It's horrible what's happening to our country, but the long-term effects of this, man, are going to be massive, detrimental. People are going to lose jobs and not have jobs. And even though they're opening restaurants up here, they're only opening them at a smaller capacity. So they're dying. The restaurants aren't making any money. They need to be, they need to be booked up to make any money in this 90-day period during the summer, and they're not. So, it's that balance between environmental or getting sick and getting our economy impacted tremendously. So,
and I saw that Javier's clothing outfitter Brooks Brothers just declared bankruptcy. Did you see that, Javi?
Yeah, I saw that a couple of days ago.
And you can buy clothes online, man. What are you doing? You got to keep these guys afloat, buddy.
Where are you going to get your clothes now, Hav?
I don't know. That's a good question. I have to buy the last stuff that's before Chapter 11,
Doesn't look like you're wearing Brooks Brothers right now. I don't know that they make T-shirts.
But speaking of Javi, I know you've been watching the news closely and on conference calls with suppliers and contacts down in Mexico and in Latin America. What's the overall mood and feeling, both day to day living in those areas, as well as, the outlook on business for July and August?
Well, it started, the economy started to open up in Mexico on June 15th, but still with the skeleton crews, like Cory said. But now things seem to be better. They hope to a better August. Still, July is still, for the paint industry, resin is good. But automotive, as you know, a lot of the cars are assembled in Mexico, or a lot of the parts for the automotive that go into the U.S. are made in Mexico. That's still pretty slow. And that's a direct effect with the U.S. So automotive still slow, but other industries are picking up. But they have been shut down for 3 months, and most of the time, half of the time, I'm doing collections lately because Cory laughs because I talk to Cory a lot. He knows what I go through. Because they have been shut down for 3 months, they haven't been operating, high inventories, and their cash flow has been hit for 3 months. So there's been an issue. So, but there are companies that are running, they are paying their bills, hopefully. But everyone is blaming COVID, which I don't know if it was a problem with COVID or no, but I don't think COVID is the blame for not paying. That shouldn't be the case. But things seem to be looking better. Things should be operating, and cash flow should be getting better in the next 2 months, in the next few months for most companies. But they're worried of cases again, another spike, and then getting shut down like Florida, Texas again. So that's another concern. That could be that's going to be the worst thing for the economy, because they just started June 15th. So we'll see what happens. In Brazil, a similar story. Colombia, it's better. I talked to one of our suppliers and said the economy is at 60% running, and they are mainly an export economy. Brazil is shut down. Even the president has COVID. Bolsonaro, he contracted COVID. The president of Bolivia also contracted COVID. So I mean, this is hitting everyone. It's a real thing. Governments have to enforce the masks, the social distancing. Otherwise, we have to act as a community. Whatever you are, if you're in Mexico, U.S., whoever, you got to act as a community and hope for the best.
Yeah, unfortunately, some of those bigger names and well-known figures like the president of Brazil and other people contracting it really makes it feel real. And not that people I don't think we're ever downplaying it, but all of a sudden you see these names that you recognize and have contracted it. It's like, man, this is happening.
Well, the president of Brazil was downplaying at the beginning, big time. He was downplaying it. He said it wasn't a real thing. He wasn't enforcing the social distancing, the mask wearing. And then they go through 3 different ministers of health through the COVID. So they were starting and doing like 3 weeks, and then they resigned because they couldn't get along with the president. So he was definitely played it down. So
yeah,
well, we'll see. Things are getting better. They see an outlook for July better. I see August strong. Hopefully things pick up in Venezuela. Venezuela is still on lockdown. But we'll see. I'm in touch with them every week and just hoping for the best. Hoping to a safety restart of operations. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the safe general mood, is people are optimistic, and it seems like there's been more conversations the last couple of weeks about starting to talk about new raw material purchases and plant startups again. It's just a matter of when that actually kind of catches.
Yeah, definitely.
The good news is that the death rate is down, considerably. The hospitalization rate is down considerably. There are some effective treatments and more in the pipeline, and we have the hope of a vaccination. So there is hope. But unfortunately, when we've already been locked down for 3 months, and then, we're locked down again for, we're really, even though we're in Rhode Island or the north here, where we've already been through the worst of it, we still don't feel like we're free to do what we want to do and go where we want to go. So the virus is still there, and there's no real effective treatment or vaccination. So even though we're, out of the weeds where Florida and Texas and Arizona, et cetera, are starting to get into the weeds, we still don't feel like, we're free to do what we want to do. So, and that's unfortunately maybe the future that Texas and Florida, et cetera, have to look forward to is, so we need to have effective treatment. We need to have a vaccination. I mean, I just can't believe that I'm not able to plan my trips to EPCA or AFPM, or everything's on hold, and just an odd feeling. It's a very strange situation.
Yeah, along similar lines, we've been keeping an eye on logistics trends and updates. Seems like the last 2 weeks, as plants have started to try to reopen, capacity picks back up. Obviously, that leads to logistics getting a little bit tighter. Seeing maybe not as many drivers on the road, people collecting unemployment versus coming back, being worried about contracting coronavirus while on the road. So it seems like capacity has kind of gone down a little bit, been a little bit tighter to book loads, especially dry vans, and LTL transit times maybe increasing by a day or two. So it seems that's kind of been the trend here through in the U.S.
And help me understand, the issue with trucking is, I remember, what was it, a few years back, we had the issue of the driver shortage and heavy demand. The median age of drivers was they're retiring out, younger kids, or weren't looking to drive. The issue today is one, I know we're in produce season. I know we've heard that from our logistics guys, so there's a lot of that demand on that. But we are talking about a driver shortage again. What is it now? Is it that they make more money staying in unemployment than they do making is that what's driving it?
I like how you used that was driving it. I like how you used that.
You gotta hit the.
We had a call with our logistics group this morning, Cory, and absolutely that's part of it. They make more money. Right now there's sort of a bonus situation for those that are collecting unemployment, where they'll make more than if they're actually working. There's coronavirus, people are getting sick, and then the fear of getting sick is a part of it. The produce season is a part of it. We're really seeing the worst issues in Texas and in the South, where coronavirus is a major factor right now. So I think that's a big part of it. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the longer that there's you can stay at home and Netflix and chill and collect more money than you can getting out on the road and risking, contracting the coronavirus or but you actually have to go work. You can make more money not working. So that's definitely a good point. And that's in a lot of industry that we're seeing where people won't come. But I believe that ends the sort of the bonus situation where people are making more on unemployment ends relatively soon. So, but the logistics issue was specifically in the South that we're having. And you were mentioning before the electronic logging device. That was the issue that came up, where a lot of older drivers retired because they didn't want to be under the electronic guidelines, where as soon as you fire that truck up, you're being clocked and you only have a certain number of hours until you're done. And so there's been a lot of issues over the recent, few years when it comes to trucking. One other thing I want to mention is next week is the DOT surge. So there's like a surge of pullovers, and people know when this surge is coming. Check for safety checks, to check for drivers qualifications, et cetera. And a lot of people take that week off, and they just simply don't go to work during that week because they don't want to deal with the additional hassles. There's already enough hassles being a truck driver. So, middle of July, when the surge happens and there's a lot more enforcement, people just stop driving.
Yeah, I'd be curious. I know AJ and Javi, you guys both manage or oversee a lot of different imports and exports. AJ a lot from China and coming down from Canada, and Javi throughout Latin America. I mean, AJ, what's kind of been going on with China? Has it been relatively easy getting material from China? Has there been any kind of delays, or has stuff kind of been pretty smooth overall?
On the whole, it's been pretty smooth importing from China. There were some, we did see some vessel delays, kind of mainly, around other ports of call for the vessel that were closed or delayed for whatever reason. But for the most part, everything's kind of been running smoothly, and we're not getting any kind of, real big delays. Most of the delays are, 1 or 2 week type delays. But yeah, I mean, surprisingly, things have been going, relatively smoothly throughout the whole, throughout this whole process.
Yeah, I concur with AJ. We seem most of the stuff has been smooth. I mean, we have had some delays due to inspections that just what's out of our control, that inspections that come in, but not as far as logistics. So the vessel had to rebook a couple times because of an inspection, but that's, as I say, that's out of our control, but not as far as logistics, everything seems pretty smooth as far as China. But we are encouraging our customers to add a couple extra weeks. So now we used to say 6 to 8 weeks. Now we're saying, please allow 7 to 9. Will be better. Just have an extra cushion, because things like inspections, things like ports closures or things like that can affect logistics.
Another thing that just came to my mind, I think we're in the middle of one of the major waterways from July to the end of this year they're doing the lock maintenance or something throughout this waterway. I forget which one it is and what it impacts. But my point is, during those times, it puts a lot more emphasis on truck and rail, as people are trying to make up for, barge movements. They'll need to maybe supplement with truck and rail. So there's an added pressure on that part of the logistics, I guess, that maybe is important for our customers to understand. Because it's funny, you sit there and think, wow, COVID, there's no demand, there's got to be just equipment sitting everywhere, and you think, if I want to buy something today, I'll place an order and it'll be there tomorrow. But that's not what we're seeing right now, and so I guess it is good to get that message out there.
Well, let's not forget about the fact that tonight we're going to get hit with a tropical storm here in the Northeast. We're in hurricane season, and they just predicted 20 plus storms this year. We've already had, I think we're on F, where we've gotten through E. So A, B, C, D, E, we have 5 storms already. We're on our 6th storm. So, and it's just really the beginning, so we're making moves right now as a company to spread out our inventories to make sure we're safe. It's an additional cost to the company, but I mean, really long term, if there is a disaster anywhere along the Atlantic coast or the Gulf, we'll have inventory spread out and we'll be in a better position. But that, right now with how slow it's been and increasing demand and the risk factors that we're seeing coming into the fall and through this hurricane season, I think it's a good time to increase your inventories a little bit and be safe if you have the cash flow to support it. That's another big question. Cash flow is becoming bigger and bigger problem in our industry as things slow. And the way that things have been set up in recent years with a lot of merging and acquiring of companies is these companies are cash poor. They depend on lines of credit or just having some sort of bank support in order to buy things, and you max that out and you don't have any cash or a nest egg to back it up. You're going to be in a pretty tough situation right now. So that's one of the things that's been a highlight of our conversations is the collections, especially Latin America, which is notoriously slow already, and that's because they keep their cash tight. So this is the problems that we're dealing with on a regular basis. But let's not forget hurricane season, and let's be prepared if we can.
Yeah, absolutely something to consider, especially if you're along the coast or have production along the coast, different regions, definitely more at risk for that. Absolutely. Price updates and trends coming into July. Seems like a lot of stuff was flat. Crude still kind of ticked up a little bit month over month. Saw kind of a large increase in benzene, about 40 cents for July. But overall, seems like a lot of stuff's been relatively flat and kind of playing more into those supply and demand fundamentals versus big price swings.
Yeah, oil stabilized around $40 a barrel, but we have seen some rationalization. Just this week, we had one of our producing partners announce that they're shutting down for good. So you have to be aware that higher cost production with the pressures that are the economic pressures, they're going to be shutting down, and the large, massive global producers can't sustainably keep producing without demand. I mean, a lot of this production is built and developed on a robust GDP worldwide. We're seeing very negative GDPs worldwide and getting worse. So you have to be aware of your supply, who you're getting supplied with. Are they strong? Do they have the ability to survive this? And if not, you got to spread out your purchases and create protocols where you won't run out of product as this, really devastating economic situation plays out.
Seen it on methanol, Rob, is prices dropped, contract prices dropped another, what was it, 5 cents? I forget what the number was, down to 80 cents and that's a non-discounted number. And you've got spot prices at that same time, we're down in the low mid 40s. So now you're seeing a lot of idled plants. Hey, let's maybe take a 2-week, 10-day turnaround. A lot of stuff to maybe help get whatever. Take advantage of the downtime or the low margin period to maybe use that time to do some upgrades or maintenance on plants, and then at the same time that brings some product out of the market and maybe helps alleviate some of the high inventory pressure out there. With respect to methanol, the inventories are still high, especially in China. There's plenty of material out there, and you can see that in all the pricing. But you're right; it's producers taking advantage of the time now to maybe bring some capacity offline and chalk it up to maintenance or whatever, and maybe kind of slow the bleeding a little bit.
Take advantage, but also their inventory tanks might be full. There's then where do you put it? Where do you put it when your tanks are full and there's nowhere for it to go? Where do you put it? And I think that you at some point the straw that breaks the camel's back, you just stop producing because you're overflowing with product. So we're seeing that effect start to rapidly propagate in our industry, and after surviving 08, 09 and seeing what an economic downturn did to the chemical industry, the massive rationalization that took place. And we've just built from there because of, fracking and our energy independence. We built. And now there's nowhere for it to go. So, you hate to be a Debbie Downer, but you have to be aware of these trends. As we go into the fall, hopefully things will pick up. But I have a hard time believing they could pick up enough to sustain a lot of these high cost producers. But we are seeing increased prices on some things. Then PVC prices are increasing. So plasticizer demand has picked up as people try and produce more before the higher prices of PVC. We've seen some alcohols other than obviously methanol. They've moved up on higher propylene month over month in demand and lack of availability in some cases. There's still supply issues, coming out of different regions. India right now is under a tremendous lockdown, and they're having problems, like Brazil, like places like in the south of the United States. So there's going to be, now's a great time to continue to pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah, something to keep an eye on for the rest of the year. Absolutely. As production hopefully picks back up, supply chain ease a little bit, and production starts, kind of anticipating pricing to keep creeping up for the rest of the year. As we found out this year, barring any unforeseen events. So definitely something to keep an eye on, and something we'll look forward to keep talking about and reporting on here throughout the year. Featured products and new products on our side, we are still offering our full portfolio of sanitizing products, various formulas and grades of ethanol, IPA in drums or bulk, glycerin, things like that. I know demand has maybe dropped a little bit. Kind of the craze for sanitizer products has maybe been on the backside, but I think as plants start to run and come back up, we've had a lot of inquiries for things like IPA and different sanitizing products so that they can have on the floor for their staff to clean machinery in between shifts, things like that. I think that's going to be something that's going to stick around, and companies will have higher protocols and things in place to keep a safe work environment, even as coronavirus cases decrease, to keep them on the decrease, or keep them out altogether in the future. So something to keep an eye on, and something we're happy to continue to have conversations about.
Hey, one thing to point out is we're talking about that line of those materials that go into sanitizers, and something that's come across our desk, all of us, over the last few weeks is we're hearing methanol ending up in sanitizers, and we should be very clear about on this podcast for everybody. Well, that shouldn't be used in sanitizers, right? There's been a handful of cases where we've seen it, right?
Well, we've heard about it in the news. I don't think we've seen it personally as a company.
No, sorry, right.
Yeah, we would never sell methanol for use in hand sanitizer. That can kill you. It can make you blind. There's major effects. The thing is that alcohol has killed this coronavirus. And we mentioned ethanol. Ethanol right now is extremely tight. It's replacing IPA because IPA got so expensive. Just to be clear, IPA is a far more effective killer of this virus than ethanol. So people switched to ethanol-based sanitizers because of high-priced isopropyl alcohol. Isopropyl alcohol has now fallen in price some, gotten more competitive, where ethanol has gotten extremely tight and competitive, and prices have gone up. So maybe now is the time to consider a switch back to IPA, have a more effective killer of the virus, and better availability. Might be a consideration. We also offer a variety of different alcohols that can be used in ethoxylates, which really go into things like detergents. So you might want to contact TCC and find out what type of alcohols we can supply for ethoxylates. I mean, this is one very high point right now in our industry, is that people are at home, they're washing their clothes more, they're washing dishes more, they're washing they're washing themselves more. So things like ethoxylates, which make detergents and things like that, are in high demand. So we have great products for that. And then, of course, if you want to make your own sanitizers, please don't ever use methanol. You're going to be on the news, and you're going to be in big trouble. It's certainly not something you can use to kill the virus. But we've got a variety of other products that we can use to help people, as you said, Ben, keep their plants running, keep it clean, keep it sanitized, and keep moving forward and helping this economy.
And the other piece to all that too, I think, as Rob kind of alluded to earlier, is understanding the time of year. Great time to double check your inventories. If you can take inventory in, great. If not, at least understand your supply chain, where material is stocked, where it's coming from. Have some backup options, and great time to double check your supply chain, kind of ensure your own security of supply. Obviously, TCC as a company, we're happy to do that for you, and take great pride in even just having internal conversations and spending some money and moving inventory around to make sure our customers are kept supplied. Even if they don't understand it, or they don't see the legwork that goes behind it, they can ensure that the security of supply is there. So definitely a great time to double check your inventory, double check your supply chain, understand where things are stored, and make sure you're in good shape here coming into the fall. Trade shows, obviously not too much to talk about, unfortunately. Usually one of my favorite topics to talk about, but still pretty quiet. I think stuff's really shut down through August, maybe even September. I think there's still some stuff on the books for maybe later in the year, but I mean, my personal 2 cents is I don't see us attending a trade show here again in 2021 or 2020, unfortunately. Shows on the horizon for 2021, obviously the NPE and the AFPM, two big shows in the industry that we're hopeful to still be able to attend. But I think everything's safe to say it's all up in the air for travel for the rest of this year and even coming into next year.
There are some online sort of events that have taken place. They're certainly not the same thing, but as we modernize in this world of the virus, there's been some great webinars and things that we've taken advantage of. So there's still some resources. Even though we're not person to person, we still have some resources to get out there and learn more technical and have events and. So it is what it is for now, but I agree with you. I don't think we're going to be at a trade show anytime soon.
Yeah, that's a good point. The plastics industry is putting on their compounders conference next week digitally. I think over 2 days. It's like 2 or 3 hours per day. So usually a great in-person show. Great speakers. Great to have meetings with customers and suppliers. Unfortunately, can't do that one in person, but they put on a good agenda. That's I think next Tuesday and Wednesday. So if you haven't checked that one out, that's definitely a good one.
The methanol forum that I attend in the Houston area every September, they're going virtual this year as well. So this August methanol forum, but it's usually a good one. But, yeah,
I think shows that have done a good job to pivot online. The plastics one, at least specifically, is offering the material for free, so it's free to register. Us as TCC as a company, we're proud to sponsor it, so that kind of helps them with their back end costs and makes it free for attendees. So could even be a good boost for future in person shows. I mean, people do the webinar, see it, understand the content and appreciate it, and say, hey, maybe I'll check it out and spend the $1,000 to register and fly down there for a couple of days. Could be a good kind of promo for it. So could be actually a positive in the long run. So we'll see what happens. But that's kind of all I've got. I don't know, wrapping things up. If there's any other feedback here coming into July and August, I think pretty good conversation, covered a lot of stuff. Don't know if there's anything else to wrap things up here.
Anything from you, AJ? You want to say anything?
No, you guys did a great job. Thanks for carrying me.
Robust input. I just hope everybody's safe out there. I'm sorry to see what's happening in the South right now. We certainly our thoughts and prayers are with everybody down there, and that things continue in the North to go well. And just keep in mind as we get back to work that you're now responsible not only to yourself and your family but your coworkers. So don't go to any sing-song bars and not wear a mask anytime soon. One thing I will say that's optimistic is we've learned a lot about the virus. Right. And there's places, man, you just don't want to be. Mm-hmm. And don't go there. I mean, even if you wear a mask, don't go there. And just until we find an effective treatment and an effective vaccine, we'll all be back flying. We'll all be back at hotels. We'll all be back at bars and, singing along with each other to music at the top of our lungs. But as of right now, it's your own responsibility to do your best. And for me, the hardest part is controlling my kids. I got an 18-year-old out there. He's just dying to be out and about with his friends. And I feel horrible for him. But, he's got to go to work. He's got a job. He's wearing his mask. He's being diligent. But, so it's very important to keep aware of your own health at this point and the health of your family for the sake of everyone around you, your community and your coworkers. So God bless the South. And I know you judge us Northerners all the time, but we're not judging you guys, man. We love everybody.
Come on. Don't believe it. We love you guys.
I was just thinking about that, Cory, the other day. I mean, I show up down in Dallas and you start busting my balls immediately about being a Yankee. And I think whenever he comes up and visits us, we don't go, oh, you're some cracker Southerner or whatever the hell. We don't even think about that stuff. Like, it's like, what? It's kind of a shock to show up in Dallas and be like, oh, you Northerners, you Yankees, and we're like, what the hell? Where did this come from? But in any event, we love all of America. We love everybody, and we're sorry that this is going on down south, and it sucks. And let's just hope that that it gets better quickly. And
Cory, that means take the Friday off from your favorite karaoke bar. No karaoke bar tonight or tomorrow.
I'm glad you brought that up. I put my singing career on hold. There's been some scouts at the local karaoke's, and I've been,
You're going like this,
Oh yeah, I was speaking for sure. You were doing. Methanol prices were going, but my singing career. It was. I heard Simon Cowell was in the area. I wrote my own songs. I'll sing one for you now if you'd like, or we could maybe put that on the next podcast or something.
No, we're out of time. We're out of time. We can charge about a minute for this thing.
For the record, Rob, we don't call you. We love you guys. I don't know who's saying that stuff, but you're hanging around with the wrong people when you come down here.
It was you. It was you.
All right, you Yankees, have a good one. Come on. We love everybody. We love everybody.
I think that's what's important, though, is we all got to come together as Americans, no matter what, your beliefs are and your background. You got to cut this bullshit off of us versus them. And, this is out of control. And really, if you're becoming a victim and you're falling in with this, it's because you're being influenced, possibly by China and Russia. They want us divided. So it's almost like you're being un-American if you're being divisive, because the messages that are coming out, the news is bullshit. Social media is bullshit. All of it is bullshit. If you're listening to it, if you're focusing in on the negativity, you're affecting all of America. So it's un-American to be divisive. Right. And I'm sorry that there's a lot of division and hatred out there right now. But the only way we can cure that is love and getting together. Love, number one, man. We got to love each other and be proud to be Americans and be together as Americans. And that's how we'll get through this virus.
Yeah. Amen.
Stop allowing outside influence to divide us.
Well, I tell you what, Rob, I made a deliberate effort to stay away from the news for the last 4 weeks. And granted, I know you need to hear stuff off and on just to stay engaged, but I've turned it off. And I tell you what, my head's in a much better place. I don't get caught up in what the right says, the left side. I don't care. I'm looking out for the people around me. I love the people around me. I'm not sitting here asking how you vote before I help you. I don't care. We're all in this together, and everybody needs a helping hand. And other than Javier, I'm here for you guys.
Hey, for your emails 4 weeks too.
But listen, I know it. Hey, don't collect your customers' money, would you? But no, in all seriousness, I know it's up. But listen, when you get caught, I'm a firm believer in what you're feeding, what you're eating is what's coming out, right? And when you're consumed with the news, the negative, and I don't care what side you're watching, it's a bias, right? And when you consume, that's what's coming out in your actions, that's what's coming out in your words, and we can all be better Americans for sure. And it starts with just learning to, get off your soapbox and get away from your view. And let's just, let's figure out how we can all just take care of each other and not worry about, who votes where and all that crap, right?
Yeah, one more positive note to finish out on. Big couple weeks for the Fernandez Diaz family here coming into early August.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
COVID Fernandez. What you naming it? COVID Fernandez, or what are we doing?
COVID Fernandez.
Corona.
Corona. But big couple weeks. Hope everything goes well, and looking forward to meeting the little guy.
Yeah, next podcast I'll be at that.
Oh crap! Wow.
That's crazy. That's crazy to say it. I'm shaking.
We're all shaking.
You'll be a great one, Robbie. You'll be a great one.
You're going to be a great dad. You will be.
See how you treat that cat. This baby's going to be unbelievable.
Yep.
Except for the litter box. Everything but the litter box. Just the baby doesn't need a litter box, but that's all.
All right.
But as always, thank you guys for listening. Follow along, whether it's the video or the audio version. Appreciate everyone following along. Hopefully you're getting the email view edition next week as well. If you're only getting emails, please subscribe to the podcast. If you're only seeing the podcast, we do have the email version as well. We appreciate you listening. Hopefully it was good information. As always, please reach out to any of us, whether you have a TCC sales contact or just give us a call in the office to talk through anything that we mentioned here on the podcast. Happy to help with supply, pricing, inventory, anything we can do to help. By all means, reach out. We look forward to seeing you on the August podcast, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.
All right, you stupid Yankees. We'll see you guys.